Hello, I am Pernilla. You can call me Vanilla. You've landed on this very nice corner of YouTube where it's all about knitting and probably also crochet and other yarn crafts. But you've landed on this channel, which is basically my creative outlet, where I use you to spare my husband with all of my blabberness of yarn and knitting. In today's video, I have a few finished objects to show with you guys. Actually, I only have one finished object to show you guys, but I have a few to talk about. I have quite a few works in progress. I have a single regret that I'm going to be talking about. I know, a regret. And then I also have some very astonishing life updates because it's been a while since I've recorded anything, and I don't think I owe you guys an apology, but I'm gonna give you one energy, or not an energy. I'm gonna give you guys an explanation. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna explain to you guys why I've been gone for so long, because last time I promised that it was only gonna be like 2 weeks and now it's 6 weeks later. Whoops. Anyway, we're gonna start off with all of the knitting related or yarn related, and then at the very end we're gonna talk about all of these life stuff things. Right, so I guess we're just gonna get straight into it. We're gonna start off with finished objects. I have three finished objects. I have 2 pairs of socks that I knitted for my mother. I talked about these in the last episode where I was actually knitting them. I unfortunately don't have them anymore because I gifted them to my mother. So I'm just gonna briefly talk about them. You can go back to the last episode to check out the colorways and what yarn I was using. But there's really nothing fancy about it. It was just plain vanilla socks, quite short leg socks. One of them was with a 2x2 rip at the very top of the cuff, and the other one was with inspiration from the Rose City Rollers shorty socks, where I just make the leg a little bit longer but still with the rolled cuff that is so dominant in the Rose City Rollers socks. So that's the socks. I'm really not going to talk more about them because I don't have them and I don't have the yarn right at hand, even though I did cake it up for knitting more socks for myself. But I'm unorganized like that. So moving forward, the next finished object that I have is one that I just finished yesterday because it was such a nice, quick, easy one. And it is these cute little fellas. These are, does one leg look shorter than the other? I don't know. These are the, I think they're just called Billie, and I'm pretty sure they're by Pearl Soho, and it's just some baby pants. I don't know why I'm knitting baby pants. I just have this, I really want to knit like fast knit objects, and also I have a lot of this stashed yarn that I really just want to get rid of. So baby knits, here we go. These are knit in the same red lovely acrylic that I used to make my Sea of Love cardigan. Now the Sea of Love cardigan didn't turn out like I wanted it to. I didn't have enough yarn, so I couldn't finish it, and therefore I'm now using the yarn for baby knits and whatever I come across that I really want to knit. I do believe that knitting in acrylic for babies is quite smart because this is totally machine washable. You can just throw it in there with everything else that you're washing and it's gonna come out looking just like this. You probably shouldn't tumble dry it, but other than that, I think we're pretty good. So this is basically just a very long rip at the top that you fold down. I did an Italian cast on for this very brim right here. You also call it a tubular cast on, I think. Then you knit down, separate for the 2 teeny tiny legs, and then at the very bottom, once again, you knit some rip, and I close this off, or I bound it off. I bound it off using also the Italian bind off. Maybe it's called the tubular bind off if you're not from Denmark. I don't know, but it was a very quick and easy knit. I finished this within 2 days. So that was very nice and refreshing to do something this small. And I really like it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm probably just gonna donate it to charity once I've knit quite a few baby garments, and then yeah, because I'm not planning on having any baby like anytime soon. And yeah. Anyway, that's it for the Billie baby pants. Also, I knit this in a size teeny tiny. I think this is the tiniest size that you can knit. I'm not quite sure how my gauge was, in all honesty. I didn't really bother checking my gauge because this is so small anyway, so I don't know. I was like, okay, so if it's a bit bigger, if my gauge is a bit looser, then I can just like, then they're just going to be a bit bigger than what the pattern calls for, and that's not really going to be a problem, is it? So that's it. It was quick, it was easy, it was still, I don't want to say it was challenging because it really wasn't, but when dividing for the teeny tiny legs right here, you do pick up stitches and stuff like that. So it was like, if you want to knit a sweater, but you're not quite ready for a sweater, this is like, this construction at the very bottom of the pant right here, that's basically like how you construct, I don't know, like the arms for a sweater. Oh, was it just my hair? I don't know. I thought I had yarn fuzz on my lip because I just put on lip balm. Anyway, finished object. Pretty pleased with it. Very nice. And that was all for my finished objects. I wished I had more finished objects because it has been 6 weeks. But yeah, we're gonna get there. I'm gonna explain everything to you guys, but that was it. 3 finished objects. Oops, what can I say? So, coming up is works in progress. Now, this is probably where I'm gonna be spending a little bit more than like 3 minutes talking about it, because I went a little cray-cray the past 6 weeks. Whoops. I have a feeling I'm gonna say whoops quite a few times during this podcast. Also, I'm gonna try to just slow down my pace a bit because I just rewatched the last clip that I took, and I am speaking quite quickly. I'm sorry, there was just a noise outside. I was like, what's going on? It has been, as I said, 6 weeks, so this is, I don't want to say it's all new again, but it's pretty close. Anyway, for works in progress, we're gonna start off with my Karl Johan sweater. I've not brought my Karl Johan sweater here to show you. If you want to see it, I'm so sorry. I just had, I don't know, a little yarn phlegm something in my eye. I hope it's not too bad. Anyway, I didn't bring my Karl Johan sweater up here due to the fact that I've not knit a single stitch on it since last time I podcasted. If you want to see the Karl Johan sweater by Knitting for Olive, I believe, then go back to the last episode. I'm showing you guys that I'm talking about the yarn, I'm talking about the process and everything like that. I've not knit a single stitch on it since then. It's not due to the pattern, it's not the yarn, it's not anything, it's just too large a project with too much stockinette that I can't just carry around everywhere. So I kind of just put it away in my little cupboard over here, and it's just gonna stay there until I am mentally prepared to just work a whole bunch of stockinette without having any end to it. Yeah, that was a depressing start to the works in progress section, but that's just how it is sometimes. So the next one is something that I've cast on in the meantime from last episode to this episode, and it is a balaclava. So like in Denmark we call it an elefantu, So translated, that would be like an elephant hat, basically. It's, you guys know what a balaclava is, I'm sure, but if you don't, then I would suggest you Google it, because that's easier than for me to explain it what it is. But basically, I was out walking Bella one morning in like the last week of September, and it was so cold. I was freezing. I was walking with my hoodie up from my jacket, my scarf just wrapped around, and just like having like this area of my face just not covered by anything. And other than that, I was just like really just cuddled in. And then I thought to myself, why don't I just knit myself a balaclava? Because balaclavas are modern, they're trendy, or at least they were last season, so why not try them again? So I did that, and I honestly, like, I knit this in 3 days, I want to say. It was very easy. I found a pattern on Ravelry called BB Balaclava by Bonbonknit, Bonbonknit, I think. And basically I followed most of that pattern. I did knit the sections a bit larger than the pattern suggested, but I followed the way around, like how to construct a balaclava. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, so you can just go check it out. But basically you knit the top panel of the balaclava, and then you pick up stitches along the edge, which then you work it down, and then you gather it in the round with some rip. I have ends here. The reason why this is a work in progress, because as you see, it looks quite done, looks pretty finished, is because I followed the pattern quite, like, I want to say to T, because I did alter the measurements, but other than that, I did exactly what the pattern said to do, like knit in this pattern, or like, what is this, stitch pattern? I don't know what this is, a seed stitch, a moss stitch, I don't know, it's a bumpy stitch. Do the 1x1 rib at the bottom, and then the pattern suggested a double knit border around the face. So I did that. And I'll just put this on, because then you guys can probably see where the problem lies with this balaclava. Don't laugh at me, okay? I'm gonna look silly. Well, I'm gonna look very silly with all of these ends in my face. Hold on. So I'm actually quite thrilled with like the overall fit of this, just not this border part. I feel like there's a cartoon that looks very much like this, and I kind of feel like it's South Park, where there's an episode where they have like a winter coat on, and it's like their face is just sticking out of like a teeny tiny hole. That's how I feel right now. I would have wanted this to be like, just like this big. That would have been great, just so that my chin could move without being like restricted by this, and also that my forehead isn't being crushed by it, and my cheeks. But that's not how it turned out. Just gonna take it off. It's not very comfortable. So I have to go in and redo the border, and that's really not a big problem at all. It shouldn't take me very long. I think instead of doing the double knitting on smaller needles, I'm just gonna stick with the needle size I had for the entire balaclava and just do 2x2 rip all the way around, instead of doing double knitting on smaller needles. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I just like the Johan sweater. I haven't gotten around to do it. I just can't, I don't want to say I can't be faced with it, because it's really not that big a problem, and I just need to pull myself together, but there are just so many other things I would rather do. So this is also lingering. It's so close to being done, but you know, I have to pull myself together at some point to get all of these almost finished objects actually finished, instead of just letting them lay around the house, hoping some fairy comes around and finishes them for me. The yarn that this is knit in is a unknown wool. It's from my stash. I am certain it's wool, but I don't know what brand. I don't know what color it is. It is, like, I can tell you that it's quite a purpley, deep purple color, but I don't know any like actual detail on it, so I can't be helpful with that. But that was my balaclava, the BB balaclava by Bonbonknit, just in a little bit of a bigger edition. I brought water. Okay, so the next work in progress that we're going to be talking about, I hope my hair is okay from that whole balaclava thing. So anyway, the next object we're going to be talking about is my mother's ranunculus. Last time I showed you guys the yarn I was going to knit this ranunculus of, and I knit the ranunculus. It's right here. It's cute, it's big. It hasn't been blocked since finishing it, because I wanted my mother to try it on before blocking it. But yeah, there's a lot to say about this ranunculus. It has been a journey. So this was my very first ranunculus ever to be knit, and it is knit in the, or not in the, in Drops Lima, in colorway what? I don't know, I will insert it on the screen because the rest of the yarn is down in this cupboard that I'm sitting in front of, so that would just be too hard for me to show you guys. But it's a very nice wool. I kind of want to say it's rustic, but it's really not rustic compared to rustic wools. Yeah. Okay, so continuing on with this journey. It was a very nice, easy knit. It was a gift knit for my mother. So from previous sweaters that I've knit to her, I know that my mother's bust size is 108 centimeters. And going from that, I looked into the pattern sizing, and I thought that, okay, a size 3 would have a bust circumference of 129 centimeters. That would leave my mother with approximately 20 centimeters of positive ease. Now, the pattern says you should have a lot of positive ease, but I know that for a fact my mother isn't really that big a fan of a lot of positive ease, because she often feels like she kind of floats around in a tent because she's quite short, and she doesn't really like that. So I thought 20 centimeters, that's gonna be enough to be able to move around in it, but not so much that she feels like she's wearing a tent. So I knit that. I had come down to, let's see, like just below this whole, I think actually here where you can see that it hasn't been blocked yet. Can you see this? So there's like quite a straight line from underneath the yoke where you can see, like, okay, right here. Can you see that? I don't know. I hope you can see that. Right here, like this is unblocked, this is blocked. So I knit to around here. Actually, I think I knit a bit further down as well, according to the size number 3. And then I blocked it and I tried it on. So I have a lot of garments from my mother's, a lot of clothes that my mother no longer uses. I am gifted because I like walking around in a bit of an oversized outfit. So I compared how this fit me versus how my mother's older clothes fit me. So like how much positive ease was there, how was the arms, stuff like that. And the arms on the size number 3 was basically fitting my arms. And my mother has quite a bit larger arms than me, so I knew for a fact that that was a problem. I asked my husband to just try on the sleeve of the sweater, because my husband's arm circumference is a bit more like my mother's arm circumference, and it was so tight. Like, it was tight. So I knew that that was not gonna work out, because my mother does not like tight arms. So I frocked it, I ripped it back to the yoke, and then I went back into the pattern and saw, okay, if I need a circumference of the arm that is this big, what size would I then have to knit? And then I found that I had to knit a size 6. But a size 6 would leave me with a bust circumference of 146, I believe. So almost 40 centimeters bigger than my mother's actual bust circumference. And I was very skeptical about that, because, as I said, my mother doesn't like a lot of positive ease. But if it had to fit her arms, I would have to go up to that size. So I went a little bit rogue on that one. Basically, I increased the sleeve section for a size 6, but I only increased the body in size, or the body's, yeah, I guess, up until like a 5 or 4. So I did add a little bit extra on the body, but not as much as those 40 extra centimeters. And I did the same thing. My husband tried it on, and it actually fit rather nicely. So the arms weren't too tight. They were still like fitted, I want to say, but I hadn't blocked it. And I also think that by wearing, it will loosen up a bit, so it won't be as tight on the arms. So I knit it all up. It's here. It's all good. I choose to make 3/4 length sleeves, and I did the I-cord bind off. I didn't do any like short rows on the arms that the pattern suggests that you can do. I didn't do that because I messed up somewhere, so it didn't work out. But yeah, then my mother came for her birthday. They came here. It was very nice. We had a good time, and she tried it on. And guys, like, it's just so hard. Okay, I'm gonna explain it to you guys. She tried it on, and it's just the bust area was just way too short, or it wasn't too short, it was too small. Like the tummy portion was great, but the bust area was just way too tight on her, so the stitches were all stretching and it wasn't a look at all. The arms were pretty good, like they could have been a little bigger, but they were okay. But the bust definitely, I'm sorry, I have like I'll try to ignore it. The bust was just definitely too tight. And also, third of all, the third thing that needed to be altered, the length of the sweater was also just too short. It needs at least 5 more centimeters, if not 10. It would have been, I think it would have been okay if it would have been like oversized, because then she would be able to wear it like as a loose sweater. But because it was so tight fitting, it didn't look flattering at all, and the shortness of the sweater didn't do anything positive for it at all either. So this cute, nice little ranunculus is gonna be ripped out and gonna be reknit. I think I'm so sorry, I have like yarn stuck in my eyelashes. I think I'm gonna knit this in a size 8, maybe. I know that sounds crazy compared to me starting out with a size number 3, but looking back at how size 6 fit her arms, and also I wasn't a lot of increases for the body away from, you know, size 6 circumference, so I think we're gonna go with size 8, and then we're gonna hope for the best, and we're gonna hope we have enough yarn. I think I have 1 or 2 more skeins, and this is almost an entire skein, so I think I definitely have enough yarn, but yeah, I haven't pulled myself together to just rip it out and do it over, because even though it's an enjoyable pattern, it's a lot of knitting, and it's a lot of knitting that I just can't be faced with right now. So it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard, guys. I'm gonna stop complaining about it. This is the Ranunculus. Everything will be linked in the description and also on screen for every time I talk about it. But this will go away now because I'm getting sad and upset by just looking at it. So you guys are probably being like, well, you have a balaclava that is literally like a border away from being done. You have a Karl Johan sweater where you need 1 sleeve and the rest of the body, and you have a ranunculus that you enjoyed knitting, so why don't you just get those done? Well, I thought that too. And then I thought, but I really want to do something else. So I cast on something else. Because that's who I am. I cast on things when I get frustrated. Anyway, the next thing I'm going to show you is a pair of socks. So these are a pair of socks for my husband. They're in a Mayflower sock yarn, Uranus color FV04. I don't know. Anyway, this is a pair of socks for my husband. He has been complaining and begging me to knit him anything for the past 6 months, so now I'm getting around to knitting him a pair of socks. It's a very simple, just a broken rip sort of thing, just going all the way down the foot on the top of the instep. I think it's called the instep of the foot. But yeah, so my husband has a size EU 45 men's size, which is a very long foot. It's a very long foot. I kind of want to show you guys some of his socks. No, maybe. Should I? I should. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'm back. Just getting my notebook. So this is the length of his socks. Like, this is no joke. This is the leg part. This is the foot. This is how long it's gonna be. So I have quite a lot to do still. And he doesn't really understand the whole thing about his feet being abnormally large, and the fact that it just takes forever to knit socks when his feet are that big. Of course, I do it because I love him and he's very knit-worthy. He wears his knitted socks, so obviously it's very great. But boy, oh boy, are they taking a while to complete. What you do for love, right? So these are 68 stitches. I typically or previously went for 72 inches stitches, but that was just a bit too loose. I've always done a 2x2 rip for his socks because that gives a bit more stretch, or it's kind of like it sinks in the sock a bit, so it doesn't really matter if the fit is true as like really great fitted. I'm rambling now. but for this sock I'm trying to hit more of a perfect fit sock. So I've taken his measurements this time and I'm really trying to hit his sock or hit his foot size. I don't think you can hear it, but Bella is downstairs. I've let her in the hallway while I film because she can't focus or anything, and I can't focus. And I can sometimes hear her cry, being like, oh, let me out, I want to join. Yeah, no. Okay, so for the last work in progress, and I swear this is the last, or it's not actually, but it's the last work in progress for this video. I am working on a teeny tiny baby sweater. This is the Flax sweater by Tincanknits, I believe it's Tincanknits, and basically I'm knitting this in a size 2, which is 6 to 12 months. I'm knitting it in the same yarn from my Sea of Love cardigan. I actually have sad remains of one sleeve right here that I'm just knitting straight out of because I can't be bothered unraveling it before this. And yeah, I am, as I said, I'm quite into baby knits. Not that I'm expecting a baby or wanting, well, I want a baby. I just really like how they're quick, they're easy, and you still feel like you're actually accomplishing some things. Yeah, I don't have a lot more to say about this, just because I think we all have seen the Flax sweater, and this is basically just it in a very, very small size. And next time it's gonna be done and I'm gonna show you guys because I think it's gonna be super cute. Like every baby garment is just so cute. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I just really, like everyone around me are either pregnant or having their baby. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be a dog mom who just got her first job because I can't have a baby yet. It's very hard. Anyway, that's it for works in progress, and next up is the regret of the episode. And if you've watched my previous episode, you might know what that's gonna be, because there is one work in progress that is not right, that hasn't been mentioned yet. So I'll give you like 2 seconds to think about what that might be. So do you need any longer? Because I'm ready to spoil it for you now. The regret of this episode is the mystery knit along by Stephen West, or West Knits. If you don't know, Stephen West has hosted this mystery knit along for the past 5, 6, 7, I don't even know, many years, where you basically knit a shawl, and it's a mystery knit along. So you get a clue sent every week, and then you just follow the clue and you get something super like unimaginary basically. I would never be able to come up with any of the signs that Stephen West puts out there. And this year I thought I'm gonna participate in it. I thought that October was gonna be a month where I needed to just have one single project to focus on because of a lot of different life circumstances. A lot of different, one basically, but anyway. I thought it would be good for me to just focus on this one project and just have a clue come out every week that I could just focus on that clue, and then the next clue, and when October was done, I would be finished with the shawl. So yeah, this is my warning to you now. If you've not yet started the mystery knit along, the shawlography for this year. Shawlography, is that what it's called this year? Twists and Turns, MKAL? I don't know. The mystery knit along by Stephen West. If you haven't started it yet, I would advise you to skip to the timestamp. I've only completed clue 1 and also just a tiny bit of clue 2. I think I'm like 1/10 through clue 2. So I'm not really gonna spoil clue 3 or clue 4 or anything like that, like visually. But I am gonna talk about the finished design because I have looked at spoilers. So if you don't want my opinion, like I'm not gonna tell you guys how it's gonna look like, but I'm gonna give my opinion about the finished shawl because I've seen it. And if you don't want to have any idea how the finished shawl is gonna be, I would advise you to go to the timestamp because then you're on the safe side. This is your very last warning because I'm gonna get the shawl now and we're gonna talk about it. Okay? Last chance? Good. So, this is how, it's all tangled. So unprofessional. This is how my shawl is looking so far. I'm pretty pleased with it. It's not that. And then I've started on the, oh, my knitting needle's all twisted. I've started on the twisted, or yeah, the twisted rib in the accent color over here, which is, I still need, like, in order for clue 2 to be finished, I need to do another, I think, 3 of these short rows, like on top, and then also on the other side, and also there's going to be some weird thing down at the bottom here. And we're gonna put that away now because I honestly, I get so, I don't want to say upset, but upset, I'm sorry. Adjusting bra strap, that's how we go. But I participated in this event thinking that it was going to be a motivation for me to knit and that it was going to be easy for me to follow along. So I thought that it wouldn't be a struggle for me to keep up with the clues. I thought that it was just going to be a smooth ride, and I thought I was going to be intrigued with this. But it turns out that the exact opposite had happened. So clue 1 was a mouthful. I am typically not the person to give up, but in all honesty, there was so much knitting. I watched a podcast from Nitty Natty the other day, and she timed how long it took her to make like 1 pattern repeat of clue 1, and it took her 2 hours to make 1 pattern repeat, and you needed to do this like 16 times or 14 times or something crazy. So that was like a lot of knitting right there. And then, well, that was like the first problem. So I only finished clue 1 when clue 3 came out. Like, I was so slow because of all the things that's been going on here in October that I was so far behind, and it just felt like a chore to keep on knitting it. Like, really, it felt like a chore because I was like, I'm so much behind, I have to catch up with this, but I really don't want to knit on it. I want to knit on something else. But in order for me to like still have the mystery aspect of this, I have to keep like continue knitting on it, and it just wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a good vibe for me, and honestly it resulted in me just leaving it in that state, like dormant, because I just can't face it right now. And now people have started completing clue number 4, and I will admit I have looked at how the design is looking for like after clue 4, and now I'm debating if I like the finished object. So one thing is, I thought I was going to participate in this to be intrigued, to be motivated, to just like knit and have fun with it. Right now I'm not having fun with it. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to look at the design, how it's going to look when it's done. I don't know if you can hear my dog. Okay, hold on. So now Doggo is here. Okay, so I let Bella out from the hallway and she's up here with me. She's in the bedroom right now. I don't know how long she's gonna stay in there. maybe you're gonna hear some pitter patter on the floor and she'll come in here and disturb me, but let's hope not. Anyway, the mystery knit along. I don't remember where I stopped, but I'm pretty sure it was something along the lines of I looked at the finished design after clue 4 and I was not a big fan of it. I just looked at it and I think it's too wide and narrow. It's not like a shawl that, like when I imagine a shawl, I imagine a very big, long shawl. I don't imagine a very narrow, long shawl. Like I imagine like a triangle, so it goes far down your back. This is more like a scarf. Like it's very long, but it's almost like scarf deep. I hope that makes sense. So I know this is gonna sound terrible. It was supposed to be a fun adventure, but I don't think I'm gonna be finishing the mystery knit along. Only because, like, unless he adds some 5th clue that just makes it all like really nice and festive. But I don't think I'm gonna finish it. I think I'm gonna use the yarn for something else. I'm gonna unravel the parts that I've already knit, and I'm gonna be okay with it. So I've debated this with myself multiple times, like, should I unravel it? Should I keep on knitting it? Like, should I knit it? Should I complete it just to say that I've completed the mystery knit along, here's my finished project, blah blah blah. But that would mean that I would have to knit something that I really don't want to knit on. Like, I don't find it enjoyable. I feel like it's a task, like it's a chore I need to do. And the whole purpose of this project was for it to be intriguing and nice and like a fun time, and it's most definitely not a fun time. There's too much knitting, and being under this sort of like time pressure is just not really working for me. And I know you don't have to finish it by the 4 weeks that this mystery knit along runs. You don't have to. Like, I've seen people just now finishing the one from last year. But, you know, it's just the whole, like, I don't enjoy knitting it. I don't feel like I am getting I don't feel like I'm gonna enjoy the finished object. And then obviously I could donate it to charity once I was done, but I am so far behind already. Like, I've literally not done a lot of knitting. I think I finished 2 balls, like 50 ballograms of yarn. So I've not done a whole lot. So I might just unravel it and use the yarn for something that I actually want to do, like knit socks or knit something else. So you're probably never going to see the Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West on this knitting podcast again. And I don't want to say that I hope you're okay with that, because you have to be okay with it. Yeah. I don't think I have more to say about that. I'm just going to look at my notes. No, I have nothing more to say about the Mystery Knit Along. It's been a fun ride for the 3 weeks that I was doing it, but no, I'm not going to continue on it. I don't find it enjoyable. There's too much knitting and I have too little time to catch up with all of this, or to make it like complete it before December, basically. So we're just not going to do it. That's it. Maybe you're going to see me knit something else out of the yarn. You probably are, but yeah. That was it for all of the knitting related content, or it's still going to be a little bit of knitting related, but it was all for like the traditional knitting. I typically don't do any acquisitions because I typically don't have any acquisitions, and today is no different. I have none, so we're not gonna do that. I'm gonna continue to speak a little bit about my life, what's been going on, why I've been absent for the past 6 weeks, and everything like that. So thank you very much for tuning in. You can find me on Instagram at simplyvanilla.stitching. Yeah, I guess that was it. So thank you very much for watching. You're very welcome to stick around and listen to me blabber about my life experiences, but other than that, I will see you very soon. Hopefully it won't be 6 weeks, but I won't promise anything because I did last time and it didn't work out. So thank you very much, and I will see you anytime soon. So life updates or life experiences or why I've been gone for 6 weeks. First off, I got my hair cut, and this happened in the last week of September. So that is quite a while ago, and none of you guys have seen it because I've been absolutely absent from everywhere. That's how it goes. Life hit me. It hit me hard. Like, it really hit me. If you are new here, if you haven't joined me before, then I recently graduated university, or it's actually quite a few months ago already, but I've since then been unemployed. From October, I had a job. I went to work on the 3rd of October for the very first time, and it was so hard. Like, this is my first full-time job, and it is in Copenhagen as a full-stack software developer. And I want to say it's very fun. It's very challenging. I am up for a challenge, so that's not really a big issue. But it is definitely something different than being a student. I'm not even going to get into the headaches I had the first 2 weeks of working there. I've luckily stopped having headaches when I got home, but it's just been very, like, it has definitely turned my everyday upside down. I don't have a lot of time to knit. I'd rather spend my time being with my dog, being with my husband, just doing family things. So my knitting time has been drastically decreased, which I was not expecting. I was expecting it to probably like stay the same, because in my head I was a fast knitter, when in reality I actually just had a lot of time to knit. And I don't anymore. If I'm lucky, I probably have 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours every day, like in total over the day, to knit. And that is nothing compared to what I was doing before. Yeah, that is basically why I've been gone for 6 weeks, because I've simply not produced anything. Like, as you could tell, I have 5 works in progress, and I've only like really touched 2 of them, probably. I am all over the place. My brain can't focus on one project, and I can't focus on a large project because I lose interest because my mind is just everywhere else. And it's definitely just been, it's been a month. Let's put it like that. It really has been a month. I'm starting to be more and more adjusted to it. So I've gotten my work schedule around now, which is very nice. The very first week, I met at the office at 8 in the morning and I left the office at 4 in the afternoon. But that means that I would have to leave home at 6 in the morning and I would be home at 6 in the evening. Sometimes even later than that. And that just wasn't a thing for me. Like, that was very long days, like very long days. Luckily, I've now gotten around to meeting at work in the train by 7 in the morning. So I'm now on the train at 7 working, and then I get off work at 3 in the afternoon, but I spent the last hour working from the train home. So when I'm actually off work, I am home instead of being off work and then having to travel home. So that makes a whole big difference in my day-to-day life. Like, I actually feel like I'm now living a somewhat normal life and not using my entire day taking the train or working. So that is very nice. I don't know if you can hear Bella. But I think she's going crazy in there. Should we go see what she's doing? Should we do that? Let's do that. Vad lever du? She's not doing anything, is she? So I went to see what she was doing. Now she's walking around in here with me. But yeah, that is the only thing that's been happening the past 6 weeks. I know that I might have, you know, overreacted a bit on it, but in all honesty, I've been so drained every day that I got home. Like, I've just gotten home and I've been so tired. A few nights I've knit maybe like 10 rounds. Other nights I've knit 20 rounds on any given project, but I've not been able to like actually concentrate on my knitting. I'm sorry. I'm getting tired from just like talking about it. It's been a whirlwind. I am getting back into a routine. That's what it's all about, basically. It's just creating yourself a routine of how to do things. And it's because it's so new to me, I hadn't had a routine settled for this sort of day-to-day life. But we're now getting into it and it's working out nice again. I'm able to now go for a run a few afternoons, and we're actually making food. That was like the first couple of weeks we were eating bread for dinner because none of us could really, like, we didn't really fancy making food, so there was no food at all. It was just bread. But we're getting back into routine, and it's really nice. So for the upcoming weeks, I am hoping that I will actually be able to produce something knitting wise. And if not, then I think we're all gonna live. I am about to get my very first paycheck, and I know you're not supposed to care for money. Like, it's not gonna be everything that you work for, but I will be honest with you guys, I am excited to see why I'm struggling every day to stay awake. No, I'm trying not to sound too horrible and like money needy, but it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice having my very first full-time job paycheck. I'm kind of excited. I'm gonna have to make some knitting plans whenever I get around to actually being able to focus on knitting again. That's how it is. But yeah, I think that's about like any life updates. Bella she's now 8 months old. She's quite a big puppy. She is testing her limits like crazy. Like, she has so many ideas of what she wants to do, and all of them include jumping on tables and eating our food, biting everything she can get around to bite, digging holes in the garden. It's like everything we've taught her is just lost in the abyss. Like, it's gone. So we're really struggling, or we're not struggling because she knows she's not allowed to do it. Like, she knows that she's just trying to be like, oh, but if I do it today, maybe I'll get away with it. So she's a little teenager. That's what everyone's like. Everyone's like, oh, but your dog is a teenager. She's trying to test your limits. You just gotta be consistent with saying no. And I guess this is how it is to have a child. Like, I'm so sorry to my parents if I was this terrible being a teenager, like consistently doing everything I was not allowed to do. I'm so sorry, Mom and Dad. So sorry. No, but she's doing really well. She's now home alone for many hours a day. We have luckily made a deal with our neighbor, a very nice older woman she's retired. She's walking around at home all day. So she comes to look at Bella around noon, takes her out for a little walk, and then lets her back inside. So she's not all alone for so many hours, because it is quite a long day for her to be all alone. We do leave at 6 in the morning and we are home at like 3:30. in the afternoon. So it's quite a long day. It's almost 10 hours she's gonna be alone. So yeah, we're very grateful that our neighbor wants to help us. Of course, there are days where she can't, but Bella is perfectly fine with being alone. But we just don't want to like shock her too much and give her a bad experience with it, because Cocker Spaniels, which is what Bella is, are known for having separation anxiety, because they are very like family, like they really want to be around you dog. And she really is, like, she is so around you all the time. So we were a bit afraid that she might like develop some anxieties of being alone, but she hasn't yet, and that is a very good sign. So I'm very pleased that we started training her to be alone so early. We started training her when she was 3 months old, just to be alone for like 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. So we took it very slow, very slow. It's only now that she is like 4 hours alone before our neighbor comes in and says hello to her. So I'm very pleased that she's not developing any sort of like anxiety towards being alone. It's very nice. She is, although, starting to develop a habit of sleeping on our pillows during the night. So previously she has been known for sleeping in the bed, but when she had fallen asleep in the bed and she had woken up like later on the night, she would jump down in the bed and she would go to her basket and she would sleep there, and then when she was ready to wake up in the morning, she would jump up in the bed and she would lick our faces and be like, come on, it's time to get up now. It was cute. It was nothing. She didn't do it at like 4. She only did it like when we were actually supposed to get up anyway. So her mental clock was pretty good. But now she has gotten this idea of it being acceptable, and we're not really doing anything about it, so it probably is acceptable, but she is sleeping on our pillows after midnight, basically. So like around 2 in the morning, she will come walking all the way up in the bed, like between us. So my husband on one side and me on the other. She would walk up between us, and then she would sort of like scoot on top of the pillow where we are having our heads, and she would just sort of like snuggle up onto our heads, and then throughout the night she would just push us off the pillow and her just staying on the pillow. So I don't really know how to handle it, because it's quite cute, but it's quite annoying. But then again, like, I also have, you know, that feeling like when you feel bad because we are leaving her for so many hours, so it's understandable if she just wants to be close to us whenever we're actually home. But could it maybe not be on our pillow? I don't know. We're gonna have to see. Maybe like for last night she didn't do it at all. Other nights she does it. So I think it's also maybe just because she's a little bit confused, because she's a teenager and there's a lot of hormones going on and stuff like that. So yeah, but she's good. She's a good pup. We're all good. We're all happy. I am settling into work. My husband is all good. Everything is perfect. Besides being tired, of course, and not really getting any knitting done. But other than that, very perfect. So I think that was all I had to say today, which was quite a bit. There was a few projects that are not done, but yeah, that's how it is. So I think I'm gonna just stop here, and I'm gonna say thank you very much for watching. As I previously mentioned, you can find me on Instagram at simplyvanilla.stitching. I haven't really been posting anything on there for quite a while, but I'll try to get better yet again. When everything just sort of falls into place, I'm sure that I will be back on there and I will be posting more frequently again. Other than that, I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. What are your thoughts on the mystery knit along? Like, have you participated? And if you did you feel like it was a very terrible experience for you like I did? Like, did you feel obligated to finishing this without actually being able to finish it, because I think that we are quite a few people that maybe feel like the amount of knitting going into this shawl is a bit overwhelming for the amount of time you have to continue or to complete it. Maybe that's just me thinking that, but yeah. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you very soon. Hopefully it won't be 6 weeks again. Hopefully I can do this on a more regular basis. We'll have to see. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon.